all, it's Jess from Sunflower Dairy, and I'm out in the greenhouse today. It's about 40 degrees out here in the greenhouse. It's probably about 30 degrees outside, but I'm out here starting some seeds because right now is the perfect time to start onion seeds. Now, there's two different ways that you can grow onions. So either you can start onions from seed, or you can get onion sets from other places, which pretty much is onion seed that was already grown and then it was stored and put to sleep, kind of like a flower bulb. When they store flower bulbs, they kind of put them to sleep, and then you go and plant, and then they start growing. So that's kind of like what an onion set is it was a seed and it had already started growing, and then it turned into a little bulb, and then you plant those. But with the onion seeds, you're going ahead and you're starting those yourself. So the main thing to remember is when you're starting onions from seed, you want to start them early enough so that you can have your onions turn into the nice big storing onion bulbs that you want for storage, so you can keep them all winter until you can grow onions again in your garden the following year. That's why a lot of people like to grow onions, so that they can store them and keep them and then have them to use whenever they need them. So the basic thing to remember when you're starting onions is starting them soon enough. So today it is the middle of February. I'm zone 5B, 6A, and I'm not starting my warm weather crops. That will be another month from now. But onions, I need to start now so that they can get those nice big onion bulbs on them. So also with like leeks and shallots and all of that kind of stuff, you want to start them sooner than later as well. So I have quite a few different onions I'm going to be starting today. So these are Walla Walla onions. So this says that this is a long day onion, and it is a jumbo onion with sweet flavor. So I have the Walla Walla onion, white globe onion, and this one is a long day onion as well, and crisp sweet flavor. So that's kind of a cool onion. And then we have an early yellow onion here, and this one, let's see. Ooh, and this one says it's rot tolerant. So sometimes when you are either growing onions and you get a lot of rain, sometimes your onions will rot. Or if you go to store your onions, if you haven't had them cure long enough, sometimes they will start rotting throughout the storage process. So this sounds like a good onion. And then that's the full name of that onion if any of you wanted to get that onion, because that sounds like a really great onion. Alright, so this says and it says that the bulb size is 3 to 4 inches. So that's a pretty good onion. But so I already have my seed starting mix in here, and I have already gotten this good and saturated with water. When you're starting seeds, you want to make sure your seed starting mix is saturated with water, because if your seeds do not have enough water to germinate, then a lot of times it will either take a lot longer, or sometimes it won't do anything at all. So making sure that your seeds have enough water while germinating. After they germinate, it's not as big of a deal. I mean, you do want to keep them watered, but especially during the germinating time of the seeds, you want to make sure that your soil is saturated with water. Not so much that they're floating in water, but you want to make sure that there is, there's no dry pockets in your seed starting soil. So, with onions, they are a very small seed. So, pretty much, I'll go ahead and show you. They are very, very tiny. You see those? Very little. So, pretty much, you're going to take your finger and put an indent. You're just going to indent on top of the seed starting soil. And I'm going to do three multiple different varieties in this tray. So I'm going to do that. Alright, so for onions, onions are a lot different than normal plants. So their roots are actually bigger. They're not as little, so they don't get all like tangled together. And if they do, you can actually kind of unweave them because they have such big roots. So a lot of times they say to only plant one seed per seed starting cell, but with onions you can actually have quite a few because it's easy to get the seedlings apart. And a lot of times onions are okay if you get them out of the soil a little bit to move them around and separate them, unlike other plants where if you're moving them around, getting them out of the oil, they're kind of go out of soil, then they'll kind of go into shock. But with onions, they're a bit different. Also, if you think about it, with onion sets, they're not in the dirt and they're fine. So onions are a bit different than normal plants. So I'm going to take a few, about that much, and I'm going to sprinkle it in each cell here. And the main thing to remember is, you just want to put them in that little indent on the soil. These are such a small seed, you don't want to put them too deep into your soil or else they're going to have a hard time poking through the soil. But I'm putting quite a few in here in each cell, kind of like I'm doing like a pinch per cell pretty much, which is, probably 8 or so seeds. So don't worry about it too much, having too many seeds in each seed cell. So, but, I wouldn't go like pouring a whole packet into a seed cell because that would just be way too many. You don't want them to start like choking each other out. But, a good pinch of onion seeds per seed cell is perfectly fine. You'll be able to get those apart and they won't mind growing together while they're little. Alright, so I have that first variety there, and I'm going to do, so this was the early yellow onion that I did first, and then the white globe onion I'm doing next. Now, with your seeds don't really have an expiration date, even though the packages say that. Don't throw your seeds away. So other seeds, pretty much, you can keep those for 3-5 years and still plant them, and you'll still get plants out of those. But with onions, they're a little finicky. So you can plant onion seeds the next year. They just might not germinate as well. So to be safe, you want to make sure you get a new pack of onions every year, just in case your old onion seed does not germinate well. You want to have a backup just in case for mainly just onions, because any other seed, like I said, 3 to 5 years, and you should still be getting plants out of those. But onions, you want to make sure that you have a backup in case they don't germinate from the older seed. All right, so plant in these white onions. So our weather's been kind of crazy this week. It's been cold, and then it's been warm, and then we're supposed to be in the 20s, and then for like 3 days it's supposed to go into the 40s and 50s. So I'm just waiting for official spring to be here. So hopefully that will be soon. But until then, I'm getting my onions started so that when it is time to put these out, they will be all ready. And onions can be planted when it's still a little bit cold. You want the ground to be workable. So you don't want the ground frozen. You want to be able to work in the soil. But like you can still plant them when it's, you know, before your last frost date. Like say our last frost date is about Mother's Day. So, you know, I'll probably plant these out the end of April. And they'll be fine. So, but I need to get these started now so that they have enough time to get big enough and actually grow nice big storage onions. Alright, those look pretty good. And I'm just going to give them a little bit of a mist before I cover them. Just a very little bit of soil on top of these, not much at all. Pretty much just a sprinkle of soil on these. Alright, that looks pretty good. Give them a little bit of a spritz on top to water them in. Alright. Alright, we have the onions planted. Alright, all, thank you for coming along, planting some onions with me today. Thank you for watching, and have a blessed day.